In today's video, we're going to cover 5 questions that you should answer before you start reloading your own ammunition. Today's video is primarily focused on those that are thinking about starting to reload their own ammunition. I'm going to do my best to cover the biggest considerations you should make before you invest in your own reloading setup. Keep in mind, I'm not here to convince you one way or another. Over time, I've come to a realization, reloading isn't for everybody. There are many excellent reasons for making your own ammunition, but there's also some good arguments against it. In today's video, we're going to cover the 5 considerations that you should make before you start down the path of becoming a reloader. Number 1, knowing your why. Is your why cost, availability, quantity, accuracy, maybe just interested in having a hobby? But being able to answer this question is very important. If you're looking for better accuracy, you think you might enjoy the hobby, or you're a very high volume shooter, those are all fine reasons. Unfortunately, I think a lot of people's main reason for getting to reloading, or at least considering it anyway, is thinking they're automatically going to save money. If you shoot an uncommon caliber or a high cost per round caliber, and you shoot enough of it, sure, you may save some money, or at least as far as raw components are concerned. However, if you shoot 300 rounds of 9mm a year, I think you're going to have a hard time saving money becoming a reloader. At the time I'm making this actual video, a lot of popular pistol calibers are very difficult to find. So it's time to load your own, right? Well, maybe if you already had all your components. Unfortunately, when factory ammo is difficult to find, often the components are as well. While some things seem to still be available, it appears that finding some small pistol primers or small rifle primers are very difficult, unless you're willing to pay about 4 times the normal cost in an online auction, plus shipping, hazmat. So unless you already have the components, you're going to spend the majority of your savings overpaying for the hard-to-find components that you have to have, or you still can't reload anything. You may be better off just making sure that you keep enough factory ammo in stock so that you can use it whenever these situations occur and you don't end up having to overpay. Unfortunately, the same rules that seem to apply to ammo shortages also seem to apply to components. Don't think you're going to solve all your problems by becoming a reloader, because you're still going to either have to have factory ammo in stock or the components to make it in stock. Question 2. The second question is it actually worth your time? Like many things in life, this question is everyone has to answer for themselves. Time is not free, and often when people are showing exactly how cheap you can make those reloads, they never want to include the amount of time that it actually takes, and the value of that time. If you're looking at starting reloading as a hobby, maybe it's not a consideration, and that's fine. But if you think you're going to pick up a single stage press and then knocking out your first 100 rounds in an hour, you're probably wrong. If time is at all a limited resource for you, just make sure you understand the amount of time that it will actually take to produce whatever ammunition you're looking to load, and factor that into your calculations. If you find out that you're only going to save $1 for every hour that you actually spend reloading your own ammunition, it might better be spent somewhere else. But if you enjoy it, there's certainly nothing wrong with taking that time. When it comes to the time that it actually takes to reload, it's very hard to put a dollar value on the customization and pride in making your own ammo. But if time is a limiting factor for you, make sure you understand the amount of time that it actually takes to reload your own ammunition. Number 3. The third question you should ask is, do you actually have the space? Well, there's some great videos showing how to make small setups, but the more you reload for, the more space you're going to need. If you're loading for large quantities of pistol on a progressive, you're going to need a place to store your supplies. If you load for multiple calibers, you may need more powder options, places to store those supplies, clean and store your brass. Depending on what your style, single stage rifle versus progressive pistol, you need to have a good idea of where you're going to be able to put it all and how you're going to keep it organized. Some people have great luck fitting their entire reloading setup into a closet, but any house I've ever lived in, finding an empty closet wasn't very easy. It may depend on the space you have available, but make sure you have a reasonable amount of space to reload, especially if you plan on doing it in any quantity. Number 4. The fourth question you should answer is, how are you with somewhat tedious or repetitive tasks? Personally, I'm a little OCD, and I enjoy making the measurements on my cases, measuring out all my charges, and making them as absolutely perfect as I can. However, some people just aren't a fan of taking all that time to perform all the tasks. This is another very personality dependent thing. To reload safely, you need to be able to ensure the measurements of your brass is correct. You need to make sure you're visually inspecting your spent cases for defects to ensure your reloads are actually safe. Some people find this work relaxing and enjoyable. Just make sure you're aware of the time that it takes and you are able to give it the attention that it needs to be able to be done safely. Number 5. The fifth question you should ask is how much you actually like tools and gadgets. For everything in reloading, there are 4 tools that you can get to measure every dimension on your case, and more. Measuring your powder more carefully, seat your primers faster, get your case prep done quicker. You can certainly get lost in the equipment when it comes to reloading. It doesn't mean you have to buy all of these tools, they're not required, but when you're convincing yourself exactly how much money you're going to save, make sure you're going to be happy with your equipment. You don't want to buy the cheapest kit that you can and end up replacing the whole thing. This may sound crazy, but it's basically impossible just to go buy a reloading kit from whatever manufacturer you decide to choose and actually have all the equipment you need to get started. In fact, I actually have a playlist that covers all kinds of varying reloading equipment, including understanding the things that if you buy a reloading kit, which probably aren't included that you're going to need to actually be able to start reloading anyway. And I'm going to make sure I post that in the description box below. In the description box below, you're also going to find a link to a couple of books. The first book is The Beginner's Guide to Reloading Ammunition, if you want to learn reloading from a more basic perspective. If you're most interested in precision rifle reloading, one of my favorite books on this subject is from Glenn Zedeker called Top Grade Ammo. This is very much oriented towards rifle reloading, so if you're looking at reloading pistol or plinking ammunition, it's probably not for you, but there are a ton of tips in this book. It seems like every time I reread a section, I always seem to pick up something new. I'm going to put up 2 videos here that I think you should check out. The first is going to cover 10 things that I wish I knew before I actually started my reloading journey. The other is going to be a playlist to help you understand all the equipment that you need to get started reloading. Make sure you subscribe to the channel to learn more about reloading. I hope to see you come back next week. And until then, stay safe in small groups.